Injury news surrounding the Yankees is right-handed starter Frankie Montas is expected to miss the first month of the 2023 season with shoulder inflammation. And New York Post Yankees beat writer Dan Martin, he broke the story along with columnist John Heyman. Dan joins me now to break down how this impacts the Yanks. And Dan, we generally do not talk baseball in January, but here we are. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dex. Thanks. I'm better than the Yankees right now, although they'll be fine, I'm sure, whether Frankie Montas is healthy in May or not.
Sure they will be, but they did not want to talk about injuries in January. But we're going to talk about that. Dan, how does the absence of Montas early in the season affect the team thus far early in the season?
Well, it's going to affect them certainly that first month. They don't have a ton of rotational depth. They like their rotation a lot, especially after the addition of Carlos Rodon through free agency. And one of the reasons they got Rodon, aside from the fact that he's one of the better pitchers in the majors, is because it gives them another top-tier starter. And Montas has had some injury issues for the past year or so with the shoulder specifically, even before the Yankees traded for him in Oakland. So the concern is, I think, that they haven't gotten this under control yet. He was shut down a bit with Oakland before they traded him. Then he got shut down again, hit the IL with the Yankees in September with the same shoulder. Now is acting up again. So they've got to get him right, whether it takes into May or June or even beyond. If they can get him for the second half of the season, they'll take it. But they've got Rodon. They've got some other really good starting pitchers. They love their rotation. They probably like it a little bit less right now with this Montas news.
So you talked about the rotation there, Dan. With Montas out for at least the first month, what will the rotation look like? I'm sure that's a question Yankee fans want to know. What will it look like?
Well, they've got Domingo Germán and Clark Schmidt for rotational depth. They don't have a ton of AAA depth right now because they traded a lot of their minor league pitching in trades last year for guys like, first of all, for guys like Frankie Montas, also Andrew Benintendi, and some others. So they're really going to rely probably on Germán and or Clark Schmidt. And they hope, obviously, that the Montas injury is not long-term. He's back in May, and then they can pick up from there. But it's a concerning start that we haven't even hit spring training yet, and he's still dealing with this injury that's really bugged him since at least last July.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a red flag there with that. So despite this injury heading into spring training, as you just mentioned, do the Yankees feel good about their starting pitching depth, or do you think this is something they may want to address later in the season if they have to?
Well, I think later in the season is the key because by then they'll know, is Montas back or is he not? In the meantime, they've got Garrett Cole at the top of the rotation. They brought in Rodon, who they really, really like, and obviously he's coming off two very good seasons, and they're confident he's going to be healthy after some injury problems in the past. Then they've got Nestor Cortes, who had two back-to-back kind of breakout seasons, and they think he can further his career in that direction. He had a 2.44 ERA last year, and has established himself as one of the better pitchers in the majors. So Severino is back. So they've got a lot of solid pitching depth in the rotation that they like a lot. And if they need to, if Montas or something else happens, then they revisit it at the trade deadline. But for now, I think they're going to wait and see what happens with Montas as well as the rest of the guys. Germán has had some success pitching as a starter, spot starting or even regularly in the rotation. So I don't think it's a huge concern yet, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on for the Yankees and for their fans.
All right, something to keep an eye on. We are talking baseball in January's injuries. I was telling Dan this a couple weeks. Dan will be down as pitchers and catchers report in Tampa. Came really quick, Dan. That's all I can say. Came really, really quick. I can't believe it. We'll be talking full baseball before you know it. That is Dan Martin, New York Post Yankees beat reporter. Dan, thank you for the time as always. Hopefully I don't talk to you till spring training, and no offense with that. You know that.
I get that a lot. Thanks, Dex. Talk to you soon.
No problem.